Okay, so this is part 2 of the drawing for the gasket design on page 3-22. Sorry about the interruption. So I was talking about the extend command. In the extend command, what we do is we first choose the extend command. If we hover over this, we'll see the menu. So extends objects to meet other objects. So first we select the boundary, then we select the object that we want to extend. So I choose extend, and now we want to select the boundary. So I'm going to come over here and select the circle with my mouse button, the left mouse button, and then I hit enter. So now I want to extend this line to the circle. You can see that as I hover over it, extends it right to the circle. So now I hit my left mouse button and it gets extended. So I go ahead and hit escape. And now it's extended. So all we need to do now then is trim off this piece that we don't want. So we choose trim. I choose my boundaries of this line and that line. I hit enter. I can trim this. Okay, so now we have a rough looking outside edge. So we're doing pretty good so far. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to use our tan radius circle. We need to have let's go back to our drawing for a second. Over here, see we have a radius here of 1. So we're going to put in a TTR circle, which will give us our arc here. So let's go back to AutoCAD. We put a tangent, radius of 1. We hit enter. Now all we need to do is trim off the pieces that we don't want. So we can select trim, select the circle, hit enter. Now we can trim off these 2 small pieces, hit escape, and do another trim. Select this line, hit enter, and now trim off the outer portion of the circle. So now we have this arc, and this arc is correct. Now, what are we missing here? We have over here a corner which should be a radius of 0.75. Over here a corner that should be a radius of 0.25. Now, we could put in TTR circles and do what we did up here. But there's an easier way. AutoCAD has something called a fillet command. And a fillet command, F-I-L-L-E-T, not to be confused with fillet, like a fish, even though it's spelled the same way. At least as in AutoCAD it's pronounced fillet. no French here. It rounds the edge of a corner. Now we couldn't do that up here because we didn't have a square edge. We had a circle meeting a line. So here we actually had to use a tan radius circle. But where we have a square edge, we can use the fillet. Now, this is a little bit confusing on how they show the instructions. But in an example, an arc is created and the tangent to both the selected lines. The lines are trimmed to the ends of the arc. If you want a sharp corner, you can enter a radius of 0. So what we do is we choose our fillet, and the first thing it wants to know is what the radius is. So we want a radius for this one of 0.75. So we're going to type in 0.75 and hit enter. Now it wants us to select the first object. So we can go ahead and select this line. And that line. And something happened here where I think we bombed out of the fillet command. It might have had to do with this automatic save that was done, but I'm not exactly sure. So let's try that again. Fillet. Sorry. This is what happened. Here it's asking me to select the object. The radius is set to 0.0. So if we set 0.0, we put a square. Because we want to set a radius of 0.75, we have to come down here and type R. Then we have to enter our radius, 0.75. Now we can select our objects. So we select our first object, we select our second object. So as soon as we hover over the second object, you can see it puts the curve in. So if I came over here, I could put this 0.75 over there, but I don't want to do that. I want to put my 0.75 right there. And that puts our fillet in. Now, I could come down here and type R again. Actually, let's restart this. The next fillet, we're going to do the next fillet. Next fillet is a radius of 0.25. So we're going to type fillet, radius. Now, if I was keeping the 0.75, I could just start choosing my fillets again. But we're not. We need a new radius. We type R, 0.25, enter. Now I need to select object, so I select this object and that object. I hit escape. And now let's take a look at our drawing. And at this point, the outside of our drawing looks like our AutoCAD drawing. So we're done. So now we have to repeat the whole thing for the inside. Well, actually we don't. What we have to do is we're going to use the offset command. We're going to use the offset command to essentially make a copy of this gasket inside the current gasket. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over here into the modify menu. So if you click on the downward arrow of modify, you'll see additional items, and we want to choose this one, edit polyline. And then it'll ask us to, if we want to select, it'll tell us to select the polyline. We need to select every single item. Actually, before we select every single item, select any line on the drawing. So just select the line on the drawing. We select a single line, and we get this message. Do you want to turn it into a polyline? We just hit enter to confirm. Yes, we do. Now we have all these options: close, join, with, etc. We choose join. Now we get select objects. Here we want to select the whole box. So we go over to, let's say, the upper left-hand corner, hit our mouse button once, box off the whole drawing, hit our mouse button again. Now we've selected everything. You look down here, it should say 10 objects found. And then all you have to do is right click and everything gets joined. So what happens next, if you notice, now when I click on everything, it's one single piece. And let me do that again. I undo. See how after I undo, notice everything's an individual piece again. So to join them, I go to edit polyline. I click on a single line. I hit enter to confirm that I want to create a polyline. I then choose join. I choose the box, and then I simply right click to accept everything. After that, I can hit escape. And I'm done. And everything is now selected. It's all one line. Okay, so now this is a polyline. And by the way, if you ever create a box, you can do the opposite of that, which is to explode in order to break up the pieces of a box. So for instance, if I make a polygon here, oh, that's array. Where is explode here? This one here, right? Hello, is that it? La da da, let's see. That's edit array. Edit hatch, edit spline, edit polyline. You may be able to do it right from here. We select the object. Nope. There is an explode. Mirror, copy, offset, rectangular array, move, scale, stretch, trim. I think it's farther down. Here it is, explode. Explode allows you to do the opposite. So if I come over here, explode will break an object into its component pieces. So if I choose explode and then select my box and hit enter, I just turn my box into individual lines. So you can, for instance, draw a box and then turn it into individual lines. Normally, when you draw a box, it's only one unit. So you could only move it as one piece. But once you break it apart, you could, for instance, separate it. So you can use essentially join and explode to to essentially combine lines if you need to, or to explode them back down. Explode them back into individual lines. I could explode this back into individual lines if, for instance, I made a mistake. All right. Anyway, now that this is one line, we can use offset to make a line on the inside. So let's go back to our drawing. And let's see, we see 0.5 inch typical. So 0.5 inch is the typical dimension between these two. Come back to AutoCAD. This is our offset command. So we choose offset. We want to specify a distance. We come down here, we type 0.5, enter. So now we want to select the object to offset. So we choose this object. Now, take note, I can move inside the object or outside the object. I need to move inside, right? Because the drawing that I made was the outside of the part. So I move inside, and then I hit my left mouse button to complete the drawing. Now, I'm not quite completely done. Well, first of all, I have to hit escape to exit the offset mode. But when I go back to my drawing, I see that I have one more angle or fillet that needs to be added. We need to add a radius of 0.5 right here. Here we have a sharp corner, here we have a rounded corner. So we just come back here, we type fillet, and come down here. I think we can type R.5. Without hitting enter, so we can do that. And then we type our two edges, type this edge, that edge, we put the round in, and our drawing is now done. We are still missing our center mark here. I didn't do it on the last drawing, but let's go ahead and enter it for this drawing. So we need to add a layer. Add our center layer. So we're going to add layer. And we're going to call it center 2. We're going to make the color green. Okay. The line type. We need to load a new line type, load up the center 2 line type, hit OK. Make sure we choose the center 2 line type, hit OK. Close that. Choose the center 2 layer, go into Format, Dimension Style, Modify. Make sure our center mark is set to mark. Hit OK. Close. Click on center mark. And then click on either one of these circles. Remember, we're just making a small mark, so it does not matter which circle we click on. And there is our drawing. So we should save this. And this we're going to save as 3-22 gasket. Save, and this is complete. Now, one thing I do want to mention about the fillet command, in addition to fillet, I'm just going to draw a line here. Let me actually draw a line in, not in the center layer. In addition to fillet, we have camphor and chamfer. This will put in not a rounded corner, but a diagonal corner. So when we type in a distance, if I type, let's say, 0.25 for distance 1, and then 0.5 for distance 2, when I select the first line, I select this line, I select the second line, I select this line, what it did is it made this chamfer 0.25, so it moved. What it does is it makes the first cut at 0.25 or distance 1, the second cut at distance 2, which was 0.5, and then it just draws a diagonal line. So a chamfer gives you a diagonal line, a fillet gives you a rounded corner. So that's the difference between the two. And that's the end of this video.